What's good, my dudes? It's my first vlog. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing, but let's get right to this shit.
5 Unsolved Murders. Starting with number 1.
In 2014, a lady was found dead inside of her car in Pontiac, Michigan. Nobody had realized that she had passed away until 6 years later. The lady had lived there for most of her adult life. Neighbors never found it odd when she was not home because she often enjoyed to travel. Also, the government never even realized that she had passed away because all of her bills were on auto pay and on time. Nobody had even realized that she was gone up until her body was found in her garage in Pontiac, Michigan. When the body was discovered in the vehicle, it was practically mummified, so they were unable to do an autopsy. So to this day, the cause of death of the lady is still unaware. Number 2. In early 2013, Kendrick Johnson's body was found dead inside of a wrestling mat in his high school in Atlanta, Georgia. The cause of death is very unclear. It is believed to be by suffocation, but there are a lot of empty holes to this story. I believe that Kendrick Johnson's body was even there in the first place because he had reached in to reach for his sneaker. But with the video evidence I'm about to show you, I don't know how true that could possibly be.
Right side of your screen there, he's behind another student, and as soon as he runs out, you see that student disappears and a couple of other students appear. It's from one image to the next with no explanation of how those students got to that position or where the student at that red shirt went. Now, we blurred their faces because they're minors in this video and the next. Let's go to the next one. You can see Kendrick at the bottom right of the screen. He's walking at first, and then he runs out of the frame, and just like the first video, other students just appear. No explanation of how they got to that point. You don't see them walk in. We've not edited these videos.
And believe whatever the hell you want to believe, but I personally think that the death of Kendrick Johnson was not a mistake. It was a murder. It was plotted. You can obviously in those videos, they were cut out. Somebody within the school was with it. They knew what was going on. If it wasn't with the school, the students knew, somebody knew, and this was a murder. And there's even creepier evidence. His organs were missing out of his body when the body was found. I've been looking at this case for years, and it is possibly one of the most insane cases I've ever seen. There are so many loopholes. I know for a fact he didn't just fall into that fucking mat and die. That is complete bullshit. There's so much evidence. If you go back to the pictures, you could see that by the red mat, by the walls, even on his sweatshirt that was far away from his dead body, there was blood splatter. There was fucking blood splatter. He was stuck in a red mat. How the fuck does blood splatter go from the red mat all the way like across the gym? That doesn't even make sense. And then also, we also believe who could have possibly done it. And I don't know why we haven't prosecuted this person to find out what the truth is. There was a man that Kendrick ran into trouble with freshman year, high school teammate, and he had made death threats to Kendrick just hours before he was found dead in the gym mat. How the fuck are we not using this for evidence? Like, it doesn't make sense. And to this day, no clues, and it's just waved off as if he as if it was an accident. It was just a freak accident. That's all it was. That's all it was. Number 3. The bodies of this family of 3 were discovered 4 years after they were reported missing on October 8, 2009. Bobby Jamison, Cheryl Jamison, and their daughter Madison Jamison disappeared from their truck while on a trip to buy land outside of their hometown in Eufaula, Oklahoma. And the days following their deaths, the family's truck was discovered by authorities, abandoned with their IDs, phone, GPS system, and approximately $32,000 in cash. The dog was also found in the vehicle, malnourished, after days of being left in the truck without food or water. In November 2013, the remains of 2 adults, 1 child, eventually confirmed as the Jamison family, were found by hunters around 3 miles from where the pickup was left. People believe that they had faked their deaths due to them abandoning all IDs, identifications, and any form of them being able to be identified. Also, many people think that they had committed group suicide or were killed by a violent cult. Due to the couple's odd behavior around the time they vanished, other people believe that it was a drug deal gone wrong. According to some, Bobby's father was involved, as he and his son were in a bitter lawsuit at the time. The creepiest theory included a pastor, a confession, and a book the Jamisons had at one point told their pastor that there were spirits in their home and that they had consulted the Satanic Bible to rid the house of them. When authorities searched their property following the initial disappearance, there was a shipping container with messages such as 3 cats killed to date by people in this area. Witches don't like their black cats killed written on them. Not too sure on what happened to the Jamisons family, and to this day, the mystery still remains unsolved. Number 4. This is a real unsolved mystery case involving a life-challenging 13-year-old Nicholas Barkley, who disappeared on June 13, 1994 from his San Antonio neighborhood after a day of playing basketball with his friends. Nicholas was the youngest of 3 kids and had a history of getting in trouble. He often skipped school, got violent with his family, and even ran away. On the day of his disappearance, he called home to get a ride, but his mother was sleeping and his brother refused to wake her. Nicholas never made it home that day and was never heard from again. At least, not from the actual Nicholas. 3 years later, after his disappearance, the Barkleys received a call from a boy claiming to be their missing son. He was all the way in Spain, after having been reportedly kidnapped and sold into European slavery ring. The Barkleys were overjoyed, but as soon as Nicholas exited his plane, it became clear that something was wrong. Nicholas looked nothing like the boy who had disappeared 3 years ago. The imposter claimed his abductor chemically changed his eyes and his hair color, but he also spoke with a thicker French accent. A local TV crew was filming the family. A private investigator working on the production began digging around and found photos that proved physical dissimilarities. The FBI was soon involved, and after running the imposter's fingerprints and a DNA test, they uncovered he was a 23-year-old Frederick Pierre Bourdon, a serial imposter who assumed close to 500 identities, including 3 missing children. In 1998, Bourdon would plead guilty to passport fraud and perjury, spending 6 years in prison. The real Nicholas Barkley remains missing to this day. Many people think that the family has something to do with the disappearance of Nicholas Barkley. In one of the interviews, Nicholas's brother Jason says, "Some people knew. Some people decided to stay quiet. But we never have to worry about him coming home ever again." And although this reveals a lot of information, Jason took this information to the grave due to his death of drug overdose a few years later. So to this day, the death of Nicholas Barkley still remains unknown. Number 5. Franklin County child killer, also known as the babysitter, was an unidentified serial killer who is known to have murdered at least 4 children, possibly more, between the years 1976 and 1977. 2 boys and 2 girls went missing from their Oakland County communities northwest of Detroit, Michigan, and all were found dead within 19 days. Their bodies were disposed of in similar ways and in clear public view. Strangulation and shotguns were used to kill the children. Several of the children were sexually assaulted before they were murdered. Most of the children disappeared on their way to a specific location. One victim, a 12-year-old girl, allegedly had planned to run away on her bike. The autopsy of another 11-year-old boy named Timothy King, who disappeared one night after going to a drugstore to buy candy, provided perhaps the most disturbing details of his final hours. A task force was formed to find the killer, and several suspects were identified. They included a man who called himself Alan, and who admitted in a letter sent to the task force psychiatrist that he had scattered out children with his roommate, the killer he called Frank. The psychiatrist was able to get the mysterious writer to agree to meet after confirming the alleged accomplice would get immunity, but Alan never showed up for their meeting. In 1978, the task force disbanded. The killer remains identified, although the internet looks and searches a number of theories about the killing. Nobody was ever prosecuted, and to this day, the case still remains unsolved.
I want to thank everyone for watching. Comment below, like, shout out, subscribe. New stuff is coming soon. I'm going to be releasing a lot of things. And I just want you to follow my Instagram maybe, JoelIsDeadX. And then also add me on Snapchat, Joel1820. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next week.
J's, white Porsche, white wrist, white horse, high bitch, high bitch, high bitch, high bitch. I do not sniff it to roll it. No. It do not drip when I pull it. No. I do not run, I reload it. No. I do not save it, I throw it. White J.